Do you know when there's like conversations that are just quite revealing to people's character? You've got
Massively.
two massively combustible people in the room and me. It's like, what?
You said what?
No, I'm all for it. I think I was chatting to someone yesterday about indie and about I used to love being an indie kid and she used to love being an indie chick and I was getting that vibe from you as well.
I was an indie chick.
You're now rocking the kind of mid-30s indie chick, so I'm all for it. Yeah,
I'm
do it.
bringing her back because
100%.
do you know what? I loved her. She was great and I'm bringing her back.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of tattoos. I've had a couple of piercings and I'm feeling great. And everyone who doesn't like them can just fuck off.
Bark off. Yeah. No, I'm all for it. It's a positive room.
Have I got, before we start, have I got tufts coming out my ears? Because that happens.
Yeah.
Have I got, like glasses tufts?
Yeah.
So
Before we start, have I still got the ball patches at the front of my head? Because we can't record.
No,
if
they've
that's
gone. Oh my God.
Go on then.
They've gone. You've walked in and they've gone.
That would be a fucking dream.
Maybe we should just do this, just ramble about shit for an hour.
It's already rolling, so.
Oh, is that rolling as well?
I think the best part of podcasts, by the way, is the pre-content. You know, when they leave it in
don't-
before they
this-
start.
You're going to have it.
100%.
And I think the indie conversation was well worth getting out there. Are you in a bad mood today, Paul?
Huh?
Are you in a bad mood today?
Me and Paul had a
I've seen
tiff
it.
this morning.
Did you?
Did
Yeah.
we?
Do
Do you want
Was
to
that
talk it
a
out?
We had a work husband and wife tiff.
Come on then, let's get it out.
No, we don't need to work.
No, we
out.
decided
We're
he was
fine.
right.
We just had a disagreeing of opinion.
No, we
Or
didn't have a disagreement.
Paul had a sharp change of opinion right in the midst
That's
of
unlike you,
something,
Paul.
and it's not unlike Paul. But I just wasn't
There
there
was some
for it.
heavy sarcasm
I just
involved.
wasn't there for it this morning.
Oh no.
So we just had.
And it's affected.
Heated.
You seem unaffected by it. Paul seems affected by it.
Oh no, I'm always like this. This is me.
No, we're not.
No, you're putting it on. You're not as happy as you normally are.
I'm pretty tired, to be fair.
Yeah. See.
I had a dream last night
I have a dream.
that I played football and I told everyone to go fuck themselves. And I was like, I ain't playing with you lot anymore.
There's a theme here,
And
isn't
I
there? Angry sleeper.
Paul is angry, everybody.
left. And then I woke up.
There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. But everything's fine. Everything's fine.
You two, honestly, I bet if you're in a meeting together, you just smash the back out of everything.
Oh my God.
Not in a sexual way. You know, it sounded like Ricky Gervais then.
Not in a sexual way.
But like you just good, just shit hot.
Thank you. We try. Yeah.
I just
Jesus, we
sound
just
like an
got
absolute
Paul
Neanderthal in
Gordon
a
on
meeting.
camera, dousing someone in compliments.
I normally do.
I feel that I genuinely
love you,
feel that that's
Steve.
why we all get on. I think that's why I think of Jumpers Friends of the Brady Creative. We're very positive people. Like I would always try and big you up rather than drop you down. Yeah, for sure.
Legend.
I genuinely mean that as well. Like
That's very
I
kind.
love coming down here and chatting to you guys because you're very positive. You're very
You maybe
you are
wouldn't have
shit
said
hot and
that.
good at what you do as well. And it's just like put that combination together. It's so powerful, and that's what I think we try and be that as well. And
Yeah, but you're
so when you
slick with
meet
it.
that, it's like
I
wicked.
feel like I'm a little bit of rough, and you lot are just slick.
no,
Smooth.
not at all.
Yeah.
No.
You do yourself down. You put yourself down a lot.
Yeah,
You're
but
very
I
good.
like-
You're very, very good at your job.
Thank you.
Anyway, that's enough. That's
very
all.
kind.
That's the only nice
I don't
thing
know
I'm
if she's
saying.
saying that to you or me.
You.
Oh, he just took the.
Oh, I
compliment
took it.
for
You were looking at me and saying that.
You're both very good at
You
your
were
job.
looking at me when you
Sorry,
said that. I was like, why
He
would I
actually
think you
went
said
like
that
this. He
about
actually went,
Paul?
oh,
Now I
right,
feel like
thank you.
I feel like a twat because I've taken someone else's compliment, which is even worse because I actually didn't get it. Steve, you're actually really shit at your job. I was talking to Paul while looking at you.
Wow.
I am tired.
Let's start because otherwise I'm only going downhill from here by the looks
Steve,
of it.
No,
Right,
I'm
I'm
enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
I'm
This
done.
is the podcast already. We're not even going to ask him.
Right. Anyway. No, all jokes aside. Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. So good they recorded it twice.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Paul.
Stephen.
It's nice to
That's-
see you.
yeah,
It's
even my
weird
mum
because he's
doesn't
not
call
got
me
his
Stephen.
glasses on, and it's like a
Yeah,
new
that
man
is
Yeah,
staring
true.
at me.
I thought that might cause some disruption. I was going to put them on because I'm a fan, but I'm trying out contact lenses and I'm not very good at taking them out yet. So then it basically I would have turned up with like really red eyes, and so I thought
They're a
better
little
go.
bit red. I just thought you had
Yeah,
pink eye.
that was walking in the wind.
Walking in the wind.
It was. It's really windy outside, and I couldn't park in your car park, so I thought I'll go and get it valeted. And so I walked up here for 5 minutes, just like that.
News just in. Steve has very sensitive eyes, everyone.
Yeah, well, they're my
That
best feature.
Northampton wind, it'll get you.
It's not like up north. I'm hardened to that. You come down south, it's a different type.
Bitter. It's
Different
very
wind.
bitter down here.
Softer wind.
So, Steve, obviously, we are here today predominantly to talk about creativity, marketing. We're going to get a little bit into your background, which is super interesting for those who don't know you. But just as a starting point, like when you hear the words like creative or creativity, do you have memories from when you were younger of like someone saying to you, "You're really creative, Steve," or "Oh, you should really channel that. That's quite creative of you"? Or do you have like early memories?
Unfortunately not.
Okay.
That's why we're here to talk about my poor performance. I've never been told that I was creative. No, not really. I think like it's quite misunderstood. I think it's so subjective as to what creativity is. Like what one person thinks is creative is, what it isn't, like potentially to somebody else. So no, I don't particularly remember thinking I was creative or being creative, and it's very subjective as to if I am now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I work in what's termed a creative industry, I suppose.
Yeah, you're one of life's, having got to know you a bit, I would say you're a creative thinker. That's the kind of category I would put you in. Like you're, for me, what I've seen so far, and we'll get into your sort of previous career in a minute, but in a marketing sense and in what you do now, that's where I see your creativity come out, in how you think, in how you strategize, in how you help people. You are very much sort of like a big picture thinker.
Okay.
Think outside the box, all those classic one-liners. But before we like get really stuck into it, because I've referred to it a couple of times, just for the benefit of people listening and watching, talk about your previous career, because it's very, very different to what you currently do.
Yeah.
And just give us, if you can, like a whistle-stop tour of how you went from that into what you do now. And I'm not saying what it is, because I don't think people will expect what's coming if they don't know you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess that like if people know that I work for a company called Jump, and I always kind of say, well, how do you think that name came about, really? And then people put two and two together when I feel the backstory. So I was a Great Britain trampolinist. I was on the world class program, part of British gymnastics, and that's where the name Jump came from, was wanting to bring some of that into like now marketing. And it was now I look back, it was a relatively quick journey from being a gymnast full time, leaving that when I was 27. Going around for a couple of years trying to work out life, like an identity post like mentalness. And then, so I left trampoline in 2013. I started Jump in 2015. Obviously, there's like plenty happened in between and stuff. And I like it. It really fitted, obviously, as a name, like brand wise. I mean, I don't have to sell that to you guys, but it kind of emphasised what we wanted to do, or what I wanted to do at the time when we started it. Of like, just do it better. Like, there's not of someone. Tristan Collins, who's a guy I really respect. He's head of something at Sport New Zealand, and he just nailed it to me a few years ago. He said like there's a lot of mediocrity in business, and there is, and in life. I don't think we're pulling up any trees, but I kind of took that to heart when I thought about when we started Jump. When I started Jump, I didn't want it to be mediocre. I wanted it to be awesome, and that doesn't mean like being the world's biggest marketing company or anything like that. What it meant was like when we do something, we do it shit hot, and we do everything in the right way, and those kind of things. And obviously there's missteps along the way, of course there are, but like it's maintaining that ethos, and that's what trampoline and gymnastics and that whole like journey through sport taught me, and that's what I wanted to bring to Jump and into marketing, really.
Yeah, so one of my questions was how you're experiencing, we'll call it elite sport, because it was elite sport, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Has helped you in the journey to bring in like high performance to like strategies and the cultures for people and organisations, because not sure how many people know, but you also have Jump Think, which is all about cultural performance and that sort of thing. Yeah.
Well, I guess it just one of the things that I worked out when I was in sport is there's a really key difference to the words easy and simple. So a lot of the times things are actually very simple. That doesn't mean that they're easy. So becoming the world's best at something, in some ways, is quite simple. Like look at the benchmark performance of what's winning, say, Olympic gold, break down the steps to do that. And then you've got like a relative roadmap to get there in simple terms. Yeah. Doing that is very hard. Like no doubt about it. And contains things like, I don't know if you're talking about sprinting, it's highly genetic and those kind of things. But actually working out how to be shit hot at something, like you can lay that out pretty easily. It really, really frustrates me just in life when people don't necessarily get that or can't see that vision of like, well, if we want to be like that, well, there's a model there already.
Just got to put the work in. Yeah,
for sure. And just have the commitment to break it down and then carry it out. So I think just in anything, that's what I wanted to bring into my life, what I did, like help teach other people it. And then when we came on to start Jump Think, myself and Dave, who's my co-director in that, it was about, I'd got to a level of frustration in 4 years of running Jump of people not necessarily being in that same space. I'd learnt loads from sport, I'd learnt loads from being in a startup environment, like combining some of those things together with Dave's skill sets. It was like, well, if I'm not going to help change this, then I'm not just going to sit around moaning about it. Like, I'm part of the problem.
Yeah.
So let's go and work with people and help them, because I believe people are inherently good. Just because maybe they haven't had the environment, the background, the mentorship or something to develop those things isn't necessarily their fault. So let's help them do that. And that's how Jump Things started.
Yeah, and this is where, since I've known you, so the first time I met you wasn't in person, it was via a podcast with Ken Punter. And I remember just the way you spoke, I just remember thinking, oh my God, this guy really knows his stuff, and I'm just waffling on about like that's, it was very like, I don't agree with the whole imposter syndrome thing, but I don't believe in it particularly, controversial. But I felt like you were such a big thinker and you'd got such a good perspective on things. And for me, it's interesting, like, how did you cope with obviously going from being an Olympic trampolinist to going into running a marketing agency? They're actually two very different things. Like, have you always been like a big thinker, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get to. How did you switch from that sort of discipline of one job into being like, right, I'm now running a marketing agency? Like, was it something you'd always thought was a plan, or?
I think I'd probably always wanted to start my own business for sure. And I'd run small ventures, small businesses and things before. So Jump wasn't my first kind of attempt at that. Like, I'd messed a few ones up. Like, I'm a big believer in that you learn most by trying, essentially. And so, I'd got it wrong plenty of times and then channeled all that into trying to do it right, I suppose. I think that what that hopefully gives you is a humbleness. Like, I don't believe, maybe this is a psychological flaw, I don't believe I'm great at anything or not great at anything. I just believe in like a kind of learning mindset of trying to work stuff out. Yeah. And I think that, like, I hate those people. We'll all come across them, big and small industries and big and small in this area and stuff, that are just like, what's the word? Almost like in that situation, I suppose, I met you right at the start of your journey. Yeah. And I found that really interesting because you will have a different, possibly better perspective on me coming into marketing from your background. You like hitting it fresh and take it in whatever direction you want to. And that to me was really interesting and something to be nurtured and enjoyed, I suppose, from a different point of view. Whether some people could end up being quite condescending or trying to just naturally kind of put you down. I'm sure you had that, plenty. I think like being humble and knowing that actually you can pretty much achieve what you want to achieve. Equally, like, I've only got to where I have because of all the things that I fucked up along the way. That's what taught me to do this. Yeah. It's like, enjoy that. There's no such thing as being good at something or bad at something. There's just what you've developed and what you haven't. Yeah,
that's so true. I think for a lot of people who are, let's say, like, take the broad spectrum of people who would be put into like the category of doing something that's creative. So you've got like musicians, you've got artists, you've got writers, you've got marketers, you've got graphic designers, videographers, so many different like realms of being creative. There is a process that you have to go through that involves actually quite a lot of rejection. Yeah. Isn't there? Like, you're saying like, you learn so much from the things that you've either not done well or where people haven't liked it or where it hasn't hit the brief or it hasn't hit the spot. Like, how have you, if there are, for those who are listening or watching, all four of you, I'm going to guess there's four of you, there might only be two of you. However many of you there are, for any of them that are sort of in that stage of like honing their craft, like what kind of things have you had to do to try and deal with the failures and deal with the rejection? How have you done that? Because that's something I've certainly had to work on.
Yeah. I think again, it comes down to being humble, really, in terms of we can all get up our own arse and think that something we've done is brilliant and the best thing and is absolutely right for the client and stuff like that. And I've reflected, there's been times when I've been there and then I look back 2 years later and I go, do you know what? I was wrong and they were right. And I think that it's probably the same things that we've brought to Jump and to Jump Think, of like, embrace different perspectives. Like, you might be right from your perspective, but you can equally be wrong then from a different one that you can't see and those kind of things. So I think the first thing is definitely be humble. And the second thing is see it as a challenge, I think. So if you do something and it's deemed not good enough, rejected or something like that, you can go the egotistical route of they're wrong, I'm right, and no self-improvement comes from that. And like, nothing good comes out of that a lot of the time. or you can go like, okay, that's a challenge. See how I can do it better, differently, in a way that someone understands. And we've spoke about this before as well. Like, your idea is sometimes only as good as your ability to actually engage someone with it. Like, the idea might be great, but if you haven't got that relationship even to get it over the line, it might be nothing to do with the idea.
Yeah.
It's actually about that relationship for someone to trust you to do it. So it's so multifaceted, but I think remaining humble and self-reflective is probably like the number one thing. Like, rejection's feedback in a different way. Take it, run with it, do something else.
Very good advice. Not always easy to do, is it? Like, we have so many conversations where, you know, as an agency, you're constantly trying to push the client, like, in a healthy way, but you're trying to push people forward, develop their marketing, develop their brand, make sure that they're as close to like modern methods of marketing as you can, which is something that people struggle with. But it can be really frustrating, can't it, when you're constantly putting like what you think to be really good ideas forward, and people are just like, oh no, I don't know about that. Oh no. And like, people, we find people tend to start with the enthusiasm. When they see a strategy, they go, oh yeah, brilliant. Like, yeah, we absolutely should be doing that. And then when the reality hits and you get a camera out, they're like, oh fuck. Like, what? Yeah. I actually need to do it now. And you're like, well, yeah. And it can be really, that in itself can be really difficult to just work with, because you've got to keep going, haven't you? Like, from a graphics point of view as well, you have situations where you'll put something forward and it's all subjective. So people might not like what you like.
And it's communication, isn't it? At the end of the day, you've got to be able, you almost have to sell your beliefs, sell your strategy, sell your design, and make it resonate with the person you're selling to. Because if you can't do that, that's when you get that, don't like that, or I don't want to try that. So it's our job to not trick them into it, but guide them softly.
All of our clients all of a sudden going, we've been tricked.
We've been tricked. But you got to try and guide them in a way that it's a soft approach.
Yeah.
You can't just go, you need to do this, or it doesn't work. It doesn't always work.
I've learned a few things from being in Jump and in Jump Think that are relevant to this. And I think one of them is, once people start to feel out of control, you've lost them. And that can happen very quickly in our type of stuff, where a lot of people don't know the industry, don't know, like, can't really understand the underpinnings of what you're talking about. And the worst thing you can do in any situation is make someone feel uncomfortable and out of control, because they just go into defensive and push back. So like that nurturing and building is really key. And if we're talking about creativity, it's like, well, you can't be creative without that trust. You can't get your ideas over. So actually thinking that it's, you know, someone's fault if you haven't put that work in, that is part of the creative process. Also, one of the key things that I've kind of like acknowledged recently is you can't take someone from 1 to 10. It's too big a jump. At most, you can take them from 1 to 3.
Yeah.
1 to 2, 1 to 3. So if you're trying to take them from 1 to 5, you're probably on a losing thing anyway. So you've just said about like constantly trying to push the client. I totally believe in that, because there's a difference in constantly nudging them and getting there, and trying to take them off the cliff like first thing. It's like, it's just not going to happen. You're going to break that relationship. So everything ultimately comes down to trust, I suppose.
It's a nice analogy though, isn't it?
It's like walking into I'm going to use a law firm as an example, like a very traditional law firm, and going, right guys, we need to be on TikTok, we need to be producing 5 videos a day, and we're starting tomorrow. And they all go,
see ya.
See ya.
That's a tough gig, isn't it? Just thinking about that made me go, oh.
If there's anyone out there who can sell that concept, come and knock at our door, please. But you're totally right. It's the nudges. You've got to like it's nudge rather than scare people away. Like for you, when it comes to, you know, like we're talking about like idea generation and putting things forward, how do you deal with, because this is something I really struggle with, like when you're running a business, there's so many things going on, but there's still an element of what I had to do that requires my creativity, which is generally with words, and I get the dreaded writer's block. Like I get it I have periods where I get it quite chronically.
Would not have known that at all.
Yeah, I find it really difficult. Thank the Lord for AI. That's another subject in itself. But how do you, like, over the years, like AI helps me get over the block sometimes at the moment, and then I work from there. But what kind of methods and things have you used over the years? Like if you've got a project and you're really struggling to like just get going, what do you do?
Yeah, good question. Who knows? I guess like I'm biased, I guess, into some of like the things that I've been exploring over the last couple of years, especially with Jump Think and stuff. But like, go and disrupt your thinking. Like tends to be if you're stuck, you're probably just on such a linear course that you can't see your way past. Like, just go and speak to somebody else. We've spoke, like Paul and I catch up every month, 6 weeks on our chewing the fat.
We try, don't we?
We try to
chew the
catch up.
fat.
Where's my invite? I'm very bitter about this whole thing. I didn't even get a look in.
You are always invited.
Nah, it's all right.
She's not. She's not. This is our thing.
It's so Paul can moan about you, basically.
Yeah. What's she done this month, Paul?
But like that disrupts me in different ways because it just comes at it from a different point of view, and obviously, but that's very akin. Like Paul's in marketing, I'm in marketing. There's only so much we can do that. But just going and speaking to different people about different things, and just start to like see how that comes through. Is one thing that I do for sure. But the other thing is like, go like pursue the shit ideas because they are normally the bits that turn into the good ones. Like they're the basis that again you can't almost go from 0 to 10 on your idea scale. But like so taking the steps to trial and error and go through those logically and start to get to it is really valuable. Most people just go, that's crap and I'm stopping. Yeah. And it's like, no, push on, like feel the frustration and use it as drive.
I completely get that. I've had that like twice in the last few weeks.
Really?
I'm like, do I like that?
Is that on that brand we were talking about?
Yeah. It's like, do I really like that? And then I stick with it. It's all about elite sport, the fine tuning.
Yeah.
So I started fine tuning it. I was like, actually, it's working now.
Yeah.
It's warming. It's building. It's growing on me, or it's taking a step that I didn't think it would. So I think you're 100% right with that.
It's a good point. Like, maybe this is where it comes from for me. So in trampoline gymnastics for the uninitiated, like 10 skills equals a routine, and you get you've got no chance of placing anywhere if you can't complete your routine. It's about how high a quality you complete that, and how that works in training over say a year period for a peak might be you might start with putting individual skills, then pairs of skills, five lots of 2, and then 3s and 4s and half routines and things like that. But the point is when you get to full routines, you can't polish something that doesn't exist. So you got to do a full routine before you can start polishing it. And so many people in a quite perfectionism space that I was in struggle with that. So they don't do enough full routines. Well, that's the volume that helps you understand to even start perfecting. Yeah. So actually, like, and I wasn't the most talented or greatest trampolinist in the world. Like I found it quite hard. I just battled through, and I was someone that therefore needed to do a lot of volume to order to start polishing it. But in the end, that was kind of my strength. So I don't think of myself in the context of what we're talking today. I don't think of myself as like a pure creative. I've worked with people that I just think, fuck, like I wish I could come up with that idea like they did. Like they fart ideas, do you know what I mean? Yeah. But sorry, but, I'm not like that at all. Like I have to come up with really crap ones and then make them better, rather than like, oh my god, I've got the idea. But it's just about, again, maybe that's a humbleness of respecting who you are and not trying to be who you're not.
By the way, I'm absolutely devoted that you haven't been like doing some sort of filming or ad where you're in a unitard giving it stacks about the
mate, it exists. I'll point it to them on YouTube. Like,
at some point, you need to do something in gym wear.
If you go to YouTube,
not gym wear, unitard.
Air Gravity, Let's Get Gold. I'm in the full tight trousers, topless. Some good 6-pack back then as well. I'm like, it was devastating. At the end of that show, we were doing the end. So we did an ITV show in 2012. End credits for the final. If we'd won, we'd won 100 grand for coming second.
100 grand for coming second.
No, we would have won 100 grand for winning, and we came second. We got nothing. I won't go down that route.
I mean,
however,
you lost, so you don't deserve it.
We fucking lost. Yeah, it hurt. Anyway, so we're at the end credits, and the judges were Rio Ferdinand, Andrew Flintoff, Martine McCutcheon, and Una from the Saturdays. And
what a collection!
Lineup. Yeah, a bit weird. Yeah, sounds like random as fuck.
What does Una from the Saturdays? So this is trampolining they're judging.
No. It was an entertainment program, so we were one of the acts, essentially. So not just Rio pops down to just the trampoline event. No.
So you went on a talent show.
We were on a talent show, yeah, basically. Anyway, so
I'm like, what is Rio Ferdinand and Una and Martine McCutcheon
I was just walking by one day, they just popped in. So we're there anyway, filming this program.
Desperate times, man, desperate times.
And so we just come second, and we're at the end of this thing, and shaking hands with the people you competed against, and anyway,
spitting on them before.
Una from the Saturdays comes up and gives me a hug, and unbeknown to me, completely unconsciously, I winked at her, which was a very 2012 thing to do, not until 2024. Fucking things on camera on the end credits. So I was caught. Like, I've got so much abuse about that at the time.
You got abuse. What's wrong with it? Bring it back. Bring the wink back.
That's a PG thing.
So for clarity, Steve, this program was called what?
Let's Get Gold.
let's get
Yeah.
gold. We need to find
Look
the
at
So
it.
I was in an
credits.
act called Air Gravity.
I'm
and,
100%
it's on
giving that.
YouTube. Yeah.
Every
for
time
sure.
I say like goodbye to you on something, like little
Yeah.
WhatsApp message,
me a full
I'll be
wink.
like,
Wink.
absolute Steve wink.
I'm immediately looking up that YouTube clip when we finished. We'll play it on the TV.
Oh, yeah, why isn't it on now?
Is that, were you with your good woman then?
No, it was before age. I obviously wouldn't have done that before. I had 3 spray tans.
Wow.
So the guy said...
On top of each, like 3 for the show.
Yeah, so the choreographer said, like, you all need a spray tan, basically. It's TV. Like, you're going to look
Well,
like...
Look at
and
you,
he looked
look at you,
me.
you pasty people.
Yeah, and he looked at me. He said, some might need more coats than others. And then I think...
It was like Ross from
think-
Friends, weren't he?
It was exactly like that. And I think my kind of, like, teammates and my crew just, like... They love taking the piss out of me. I'm that kind of guys. They just ended up egging me on to get 3 fucking... I looked like an Oompa Loompa. I look absolutely dreadful. I've got all the photos. It doesn't come across on the telly. I look like more
Did you
normal.
write what
But
it's called down?
Air Gravity.
yeah.
Let's go for gold.
Because it made my teeth look really white as well. It was just disgraceful, to be honest.
My. I don't even know where we go
Yeah,
now
how
from
did we
that.
get
How
to
do we go from Oompa Loompa in Air Gravity Spectacular, winks at Una from the Saturdays, to so talk to me about marketing?
I've got another cracking anecdote from back in them days. I must bring it up if we're talking about stupid things that I've done to people. So
Go on then.
as part of my fun, I get the stick for telling everyone this story. So as part of my funding agreement, when I was on the world class program, you have to do random appearances, like a couple or something like that. And normally they're like a school fete or something like that. Give up the trophies at the under-9s football or something. And anyway, the appearance that I got this letter through, and it was asking me to go to St James's Palace to have dinner with 14 of the sort of Team GB's top sponsors. And Matthew Pinsent, the rower, and another rower called Ben Hunt Davis, and Princess Anne.
Nice.
Right. So I was a bit green back then. I still am in some ways. And went there. Everything's like I'm trying my hardest. I've got so many stories about that, but I won't waffle too much. And anyway, I ended up in the drawing room talking to Princess Anne. And we're talking about these things on the wall, and I was kind of laughing about how many swords she had and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm trying to put on as much charm as I can. Anyway.
So you winked at her?
Yeah, basically, yeah, full winkage. Anyway, so we're talking, and everyone else is filtering through to dinner, and like the guy that's doing like the kind of like filtering or whatever is nudging everyone else. I can see him out the corner of my eyes trying to get our attention, but no one wants to interrupt a princess.
No.
So I now see. So I'm keeping this conversation going. It's quite funny, like a little bit of a game for me. Anyway, we go through to dinner. Everyone's standing behind their chair, not for me. For the princess.
Introducing Steve.
And Princess Anne knows where she's sitting. She's been there before. Right? I've never been there. I don't know where my place is. And because everyone's standing up, I can't see where the empty chair is. So I'm just stood at the front of this room. And I was like, oh, I was a bit nervous and that. And she looked at me and she pointed to where I was sitting. And I went, cheers. And I melted. I was like, fuck's sake. I've just thumbs up. I've done a whole protocol sheet before of what you're in a corner and stuff like that. And I've done a full like builder's thumbs up.
Cheers, mate.
I was like, oh, fudge. Like, that's where I am in life.
And you said fudge. He said fudge, didn't he?
Oh, God.
Mate.
I fully like walk of shame.
But we haven't seen any of that. He's taught. So when I first met you, merged.
No, I met you when we went down to support Ken. Well, it was a digital and fancy event. Ken was doing a uni thing, and I said, well, I'll go down and support. And then Anna turned up with you.
Yeah, this
With this
guy.
And then the hurricane that is Paul Gordon.
You know when you've met him, don't you?
Oh my God, Christ!
I
Yeah,
was on my best behaviour that day, I think.
is that what your best behaviour looks like?
Was that? And then there was one year where we didn't come to your talk, did we? Or Paul, more specifically, didn't come to your talk.
This is yeah.
Do you want to talk about it?
I mean, are you ready to apologise? Is my question.
I mean, I don't think I was.
There would have been a
involved.
reason for it. I messaged
You
her saying,
forgot.
"Soz, mate."
You said "Soz, mate." Forgot. Brady didn't even message me. She was never planning to come anyway. That's even worse.
I know.
I don't know if I was invited.
At least you were still,
Invited. It's a public event.
at least I still
got no-
remembered
Please come
that
and
I
see me
forgot.
talk.
I should have been there, but I'm not. I'll
We've
send
got
him a
no
message.
excuse for our terrible behaviour, Steve, and we're so sorry.
Thank you. And do you know what? It's the
Public
best I've
apology.
ever presented as well. It was like
You were
by
the keynote,
miles.
weren't you?
Well, I mean, I don't want to brag about it. But
Brag about it.
Oh, it makes it even worse.
Brag away, my friend. Brag
I was,
away.
yeah. I did a talk on creating cultures of innovation.
Love it. And that's
which
the
is
very
really
very
fun.
jump think.
Yeah,
side
very,
of
very
things,
much
isn't
so.
it?
Yeah.
I actually wanted to go, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
Soz.
So like,
But talk to us about that though.
Yeah.
Like,
We'd make a terrible TV presenting duo, wouldn't we? That was my line, mate. My line.
Oh, I've got it written down. Talk to us about Merge Future, Digital Northampton, and the good work you do with the uni, mate.
Yeah. So the Richard Beards and David Bevan came to see me at Jump. I don't know, probably just before COVID. No, a few years before COVID. About 5 years ago.
Whenever it was.
Yeah, whenever that was. They came to see me at some point. And I think the council basically had like no money at the time. And they were, the same as ever. And I think they were trying to create something to support like the local kind of digital community, but that wasn't necessarily, you know, like councils tend to spend money, do objectives, but they came with a really different kind of plan. And I was just like, look, I totally believe in it. I'll support it. And I've just tried to do that. And we at Jump have tried to do that. I mean, I wouldn't know you guys without it.
Yeah,
is how I think about it. Genuinely wouldn't. And, you know, we've both used SSA recruitment. I wouldn't know Darren without that. And that's how we went and used them. So it did propel.
Shout out to Darren.
Big up Darren.
Big up Darren Sharp. And so that it has propelled like the local community and stuff. We've got work from it. We've given and paid for work from it and stuff like that. I've got great relationships. So I totally believe in it. We sponsored it one year, built the booking site for free and stuff. So we've just tried to support it because I think it's a great idea to link everybody up more and just try and keep supporting it, I think.
It is. It's a really good. There's not really I remember when we started the business thinking there's nowhere nearby that does, and this was before I knew about Digital Northampton, it's like, that brings digital people together, creatives together, marketers together, like people who are aspiring to do these things, but also people who are currently doing them. Like, and I was thinking, wouldn't it be great? And then I don't know how I came across Ken and Richard. I think I came across Richard first. But yeah, it's a brilliant event, and it's really well attended. Really well attended. The first time I went to it, I was like pleasantly surprised. I think you go into these things with a bit of like.
Yeah, your talk went really well. Like, didn't you got some business off it? I think
was that when the Christmas one next to the Christmas tree?
I did a talk on keeping content simple. I think you were here.
Oh, really?
We went to an event last night, and a girl like came up to me and was like, "I came to your talk at Digital Northampton." I was like, "Oh God."
Yeah, do you know what?
No.
Like when I was at that event, thank God Paul was there because I was like, "Oh, it'd be nice to catch up with Hannah." I didn't have a single opportunity to do it because all the super fans like gathered round. I'm just like, Hannah.
No,
she loves it really. Look.
Oh, no, yeah.
I don't. I did say to Paul yesterday, because we went to the marketing meetup, which is a brilliant event for anyone who's local. It's for marketers, creatives. It's brilliant. We were there last night, and the kind of content we're putting out at the moment, more people that we don't know are starting to come up to us being like a girl walked up to us and was like, "You're the Brady creative," and we were like, "Yes, we are. Hello." Like,
good for you.
And I said to Paul when we walked away, whilst I find it a bit awkward, I think anybody who's not like a complete narcissist would find it a bit awkward when someone comes up to you and goes, "Oh, I follow you on LinkedIn," or "Oh, I watch your vlog," or
because it's your name on the door.
You're used to
it. It does happen a little bit. But I said to Paul, I'm not going to lie, it's why we're doing it.
Yeah, of course it is.
So like,
it's marketing in action.
Whilst it's uncomfortable,
I've had it once.
We're trying to get our brand out there. We're trying to get ourselves out there. So when people actually come up to you, I had a girl come up to me in the gym the other day. I'd been on the Stairmaster.
No way.
I'm not joking.
And if you've seen how sweaty Hannah gets.
I am not. I was a hot mess. I'd just done like 40 minutes on the Stairmaster, which I love, but I looked like I'd had my shower. It was.
You didn't smell like it.
I mean, I probably didn't smell great. And I got off the machine, and you know when you feel like someone is very close to you, there's someone behind you and they're quite close.
Yeah.
I turned around and this like small woman was there, Alexandra, I think her name was, and
is that the girl we met yesterday?
And she was like, "Are you Hannah Brady?" And I was like, "Yes, I am."
You don't look like how you look in the videos.
I was thinking, oh my God. And she was like, I followed your LinkedIn content for like a few years now. I'm a junior marketer. I love your tips. Like, amazing. I always use your tips. Like, I'm getting better, and I watch the vlog. And I was just like, oh, thanks.
That's
like,
so cool.
It was actually really nice because, and the interesting thing is, I had to go and look her up because she'd never liked anything. She's never commented on anything. So she's one of the lurkers.
The lurkers,
she lurks. Yeah. But it was actually really nice for someone to say, I'm a junior marketer. I work in-house for a company, and I really value the advice that you give. Like, that's why we do. That's why we do it. So
that's wicked.
Why shy away from it when you get that feedback?
Good for you.
I've had it once. I had it last night. Someone went, "I follow you on Instagram." I was like,
oh dear.
Don't do that. I don't really use
pictures of Paul's beard, basking in beard oil.
See, I'm maybe it's an age thing.
Oh man, tell me about it.
Like talking to camera.
Paul
Like this is all right. Talking to camera, hate it.
Paul finds the vlog pretty cringe, don't you?
No, that's unfair.
That's
I said I spend most of my time with you. I don't want to waste another 30 minutes knowing what your day's like because I bloody well know what it's like.
Yeah, you're not in the audience, mate.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I said, I'm not your audience. I don't consume content like that.
He used that one. That's a classic, isn't it? Like when you want to get out of something, you go, I'm not your target audience.
No, but I don't.
Just
I
walk
wouldn't
away.
sit and watch 30 minutes of someone's day in the life.
Yeah, it's not.
I
you're
don't
not,
consume things like
You
that.
are not the target audience.
Well,
I would hate to bring us back on track, but it's a good point in that, like, one of the things that I speak to clients about a lot is like whether you like it or not is irrelevant, and them getting their head around that is really difficult.
Very
like
difficult.
anyone, like even me to get my head around that for some of the stuff we do, because like people don't quite understand audience focus, and again, like to be creative, well, it's only creative if you can get through.
Yeah.
Well, it's only effective creative if you can
Effective.
get through. Anyone can do something creative, but it's a waste of time unless it's
Yeah.
achieving what it's meant to achieve. In a marketing perspective,
Yeah.
obviously, if you want to write songs and whether they're any good or not, that's wicked because that's what you want to do. But we're here to try and get engage.
Yeah. but like just swinging back to like the marketing meetup, the digital North Ants, merge futures and stuff. But this is like one of the reasons we're doing this is to talk with other creatives so people can watch, learn.
Yeah.
And like I had a good conversation with a couple of the uni students yesterday who were terrified to network, bless them.
Bless them.
Yeah,
they're
of course. Yeah.
And I was like, one was like, I had a really bad result on something I'd done. And I was like, well, what was it? And she was like, a C. And I was like, I'd have been buzzing if I got a C for something. I was like, yeah, but it doesn't, I mean, I'm terrible and I'm not very eloquent. I was like, doesn't mean you shit though, does it?
Do you know what?
Said, it means nothing.
And
Said you could be the best at what you do, and you've just some people aren't great at performing like that. Or,
under pressure or in an exam. Or
just do you do as good as you want to do. But like, that's why we're here. That's why we're trying to do this. That's what like I want someone to watch this and be like, this little snippet Steve said, that's wicked. I get that.
I'd really like that
I
too.
resonate with that.
clipping quotes onto their wall from Steve.
Just a picture
Walsh.
of Steve winking.
In a presentation in 20 years' time. Steve Walsh said, it's not about whether you like it, mate. They're not your target audience.
But when we were young, I didn't have anyone or people to look up to in terms of what we do and being creative. In fact, I had the opposite. My teacher told me not to be a graphic designer. I wouldn't make any money. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I'll do what I want, and I'll show you that I'll do it.
Yeah. And good for you because like I love your design stuff.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And I look like I
This is a
genuinely.
podcast about you.
No, I know, but I don't want to make it a loving. But like, I think one of the reason why I love speaking to both of you is like you've got good brains. Like, regardless of whether what you do or not, no, you have
You got
just the way
low
the way-
standards, Steve.
the way you think. Like I was like Paul met Adrian, who's also with us at Jump yesterday.
The queen of jump.
The Queen of Jump. She's now newly crowned, and like she'd just met you, and she got it. I was like, you just speak to Paul, speak to Hannah. They just know stuff, and they think at that level, I suppose, which is like an attractive quality for sure, but also like really engaging.
Are you trying to tell us that you're attracted to us, Steve?
I mean, sex sells.
This conversation's going to take a sharp turn.
As a communicator, go and look up the word attractive in the dictionary, and I was using it in its purest sense.
I know.
I mean, you just described attraction of people coming up to you in the gym. Yeah.
By the way, we've been invited to Edinburgh.
Did the Queen of Jump invite you
She's
to
like,
Edinburgh?
come to Edinburgh
Am
for
I
my
invited?
birthday. I'm like, just me.
Steve's not coming.
She complimented my arms. I was like,
Just
stop
for
it. I'll be as red as your hair if you carry on, you flirt.
Anyway.
But anyway.
Segue.
But to be fair, you like
Good luck editing this, George.
This goes in nicely to the to my other question, because like you always say nice things about us. Like Adrian's always gone, oh, Steve says nice things about you. You're amazing. Like, stop it. Thank
It's
you
getting a
very
bit Brent now,
much.
isn't it?
But what do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room?
Yeah. I mean,
Like people who work with you, people that work alongside you, collaborate with you, or your clients. What would you want them to say?
I mean, probably the nicest thing that someone could say to me, and it means something to me, I suppose, would be something that would like compliment me for my brain rather than my brawn. Like I've spent my whole life doing things very brawn based, and I suppose any of those kind of compliments that you get being very much like you're so determined. Such a backhanded compliment. I'm going to cry in a minute.
You're so...
You work so hard for so little. So I guess something that, like, yeah, recognised some kind of intelligence would be quite nice. But I mean, like, it's a hard question to answer. Like, surely everyone would just say, "Well, I'm fucking great." Like, I suppose that would be nice for people to say.
I wouldn't say that. But
It is
not you, mean.
it is a difficult one. I think also it's you are one of those people who, well, the impression I get of you anyway, is that you genuinely enjoy a part of why you enjoy what you do is because you like seeing the impact it has on the people you're doing it with. So like with Jump Think, you are taking people through a process where, you know, they've got to really work through some stuff to get to where they're trying to get to. And to see the progress in people, it's like for us, when you see the progress of a client's campaigns developing, or they're getting the leads that they want from a campaign, or their brand's getting a lot more exposure. Like, I genuinely believe that's why we all like to see the progress. It's not actually a very self-centered thing that we're doing, which actually is interesting, because lots of people will see like the video content you put out, the stuff you put out, and they probably think, oh God, here she goes again. Self-centered marketer, stop waffling on. But actually, it does all come from a place of wanting to help people, doesn't it? Well, that's my impression anyway.
Oh no, I totally agree. And it goes back a little bit to what we were saying earlier about creatives and being humble and things like that, in terms of your job as a, like in marketing, your job isn't to make something that you like, it's to make something that's effective for the client. And, you know, we do work where, like, I'll be totally honest, I think you probably have it, like, oh, it's a bit boring. For us in terms of a portfolio and stuff, but it's the right thing for the audience of the client.
It fits the brief.
And, you know, we work with organisations that deal with some pretty vulnerable people at times, and building websites and communications for them is actually about making things really simple and not overwhelming. Like if we create something we wanted to, it would be ridiculous. It just wouldn't work for them. So we want to create something that actually, you talked about being a communicator earlier, Paul, about like the most effective communication is just getting that one line through, not trying to be whizzy about it, not trying to do anything, but just get some facts that someone takes in and doesn't scroll past. And so, sometimes simple is definitely more effective.
Yeah, it can be. And that goes back to what you were saying earlier about when you think your ideas are a bit shit, like stick with them, because actually, and definitely from a copy, I can speak from a copy point of view, Dan Nelkin is a writer, copywriter, and he talks about this around you've got to work through the crap at the beginning. You've got to, because it will either end up developing into something that's not crap, or it will help you generate the stuff that's not crap. Like, you've got to sit in the mud a little bit with it. And very often with like copy and with graphics and with email marketing, web marketing, whatever it might be, like less is very often more. Like I know people will be like, oh, that's so cheesy, but having been doing this for a while now, it really is, like, because people are so overstimulated, they're so oversubscribed to things. So for whatever it is that you're trying to get through, it's less is more. Like, you've got seconds to get people's attention, haven't you, nowadays? Which makes things a lot harder.
It does. That just makes it does, doesn't it?
Real insight there.
Good chat.
Yeah. Why am I even here?
While
That's why you listen to Brady FM.
Empty space.
No, but I was just thinking, like,
that is going in the preview. But makes things hard, doesn't it? And Paul going, it does. I'm just going to check this camera's still rolling while we have that awkward segue.
George will cut that out for me. It'll make me seem smarter than
George
I
will
actually am.
not.
There
cut
should
that
be a
out.
rule that everything that you said, please cut that out, has to
Stay in,
Has to.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my, I don't know.
We'll just do a sharp. We'll do a sharp transition to you just going, it does.
It does.
Full stop. End of episode. You're going to get so much value from this.
No, but I
weekly
was,
Paul
I
Gordon
was trying to
wisdom
think.
for
You could hear the cogs going.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, what Steve's most proud of. He talks about the things like he's dealing with, like, vulnerable audiences.
So like maybe like a campaign or a project that you've
what
worked
thing
on.
you most...
Oh man, should have prepared for that. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, look who's struggling now.
Well, at least I'm trying to fill the audio space.
Okay.
That's all right, you can hear the wind.
Don't. Not in his eyes
It
again.
wasn't me.
I thought it was an idea.
Cover your eyes, Steve. The wind's coming.
Look, I feel that you're bullying me, to be honest with you. It's a physical defect that I can do nothing about. without doubt, some of my best ideas are the ones that haven't made it through. Like, no, like we've had that conversation loads colloquially. I think, like, yeah, some of my ideas that I'm most proud of never got anywhere near being executed. So I think we've done a lot of work at Jump that I'm really proud of, because some of the organisations and things that we work with, like, we're very close to the tangible effect. So, like, when we've built websites and user journeys and things for, say, victims of crime, who are really struggling after the effects of things like homicide, like some of the things that you like wish like you don't want to know about that goes on. Yeah. Some of that work is so close to being impactful. Like that, I'm super proud of the work that we've done with organisations. I'm super proud of the pro bono work we've done. We've hosted and maintained Northamptonshire Rape Crisis website for the last 6 years for free. We built the Hope Centre's website for free as part of our sort of impact and stuff. Hosted it and maintained it for free. So I'm super proud of some of that work. Yeah. I guess one of the biggest projects that sticks in the mind, we did some work with the Children's Trust. They were going through a tough period, exiting from the council and going into their own individual organisation. We helped them work on kind of new brand, vision, mission and values and stuff. And we went round and we did workshops with social workers, foster carers, children in care, people who had left care. So right down to like 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds and stuff like that. And that was a very humbling experience for sure. Again, it gave me, I ended up doing a lot of the work personally, and it gave me a real perspective on what we're doing. It wasn't just a project. You had to be investing in that. It wasn't one where it's like, I won't do that because the budget's not there. It's like, we're going full in and making this the best we possibly can. And I remember, like, there was one lad where we did some workshops. It was quite a challenge trying to mine out some of the things from those different people. You can't go in and ask them marketing related questions. No. So we asked loads of things. Okay, what would the perfect school look like? What would the teachers be like? And trying to draw out what they valued. And then one of the questions that we asked the care leavers were, if you could write something on the wall that your social worker saw every single day, what would it be? And one lad came out and he said, what you do today affects my tomorrow. And that was just unbelievably powerful. And something that, like, I can't take any credit for that. Like he said, that's not marketing. That's, well, maybe it is. Maybe that's, like, we talk about creativity. It's not about me creating. It's about helping a situation that like achieves the brief in very like clinical terms, but helps the organisation. And that went into their vision and values proposal that was taken forward by them and stuff. So that was a real. I was really proud of the work that we did on that project, and the impact that that had on us was quite profound as well. Yeah, that example of like that lad saying that to you, it's so true about you don't have to be the creator, but actually the next person, say if that wasn't a project that Jump were working on, another marketer could have sat in that room and not felt that was like, everyone's got different perspectives. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever had this, Steve, but I find quite often that when I'm building out marketing strategies, I find the process quite easy. Like, because my brain does it quite easily. It's just something I find quite logical. I think, right, this is your target audience. This is what you're trying to say. These are the channels we need to use, and this is how we need to talk. This is what we need to be doing. So very often when I write them for clients, even now, we're 4 years into this business, but I sometimes look at them and go, oh, is that actually just crap? Because I found it so easy to put together. Yeah, totally. But then every time I present it to the client, whether I think it's good or not, they're like, oh God, that's brilliant. I never even thought of that. And I didn't even, because what you very often have to remember is, like, our VA said this to me when we first started, Eloise. She said, like, the people you're helping have this much knowledge of what you're doing. You have this much knowledge of what you're doing. You are the expert in the room in that situation, even though you might not be the best expert in the world. For those people, you're the best expert that they've got. And you have to just own it sometimes. But I find that process quite, because I do it all the time, you sometimes don't see the value in what you're doing, do you? So when you have moments like that with that young lad, it hits home where you're like, shit, we can do something really important here. You also have to be there to ask the right questions and get the trust to do comfortable. Totally. Like, like we talk about relationship building with 12 to 15-year-olds in care who've come and given up their Saturday to help you do something when that's probably the last thing they want to do, is like a whole new level. Very difficult. Taught me a lot. But no, I agree with you. I also find strategy quite easy. I don't find it too difficult. I sometimes think that, like, is that enough to present to the client? Because it hasn't taxed me too much.
No.
But I presented one to like a board yesterday, and they're absolutely blown away by it, which is really nice because I'm going in thinking like, crap, are they going to think I'm talking hokum? And but some of the stuff we do at Jump Think and Jump now, like massively intertwined. So we're working with an organisation that deals with quite like vulnerable people. It's a domestic abuse support organisation, nowhere near Northampton, just elsewhere in the country. And our strategy around that has been informed by something called the trust equation. So the trust equation, Google it. Credibility plus reliability plus intimacy divided by self-interest equals the level of trust you have.
Right.
So we speak about that at Jump Think all the time. We brought it back into our jump work, and it's like this organisation needs to build trust. You don't one day find the website if you're experiencing domestic abuse and click contact. That is not what it is. The awareness phase is tiny compared to the consideration phase for them. And everything we do on that strategy is how credible can we present the brand? How reliable can we present the brand? Well, that's partly an operational thing, but we also need to create an intimacy of a kind to build that trust. And we need to show fuck all self-interest. And that has to come operationally as well. Yeah. So we're kind of talking to them about that journey. And obviously once they get to what we would call conversion, i.e. like, contact, click, email, whatever, they have to live and breathe that as well. And that's just kind of a bit of additional ROI that I'm sure they already know. They're the experts in their area. But that whole digital footprint, that whole like cold interaction where you're not actually physically speaking to someone has to live and breathe that trust equation, which like to me, that wasn't, to go back to the question, wasn't particularly difficult to come up with. When I presented it to them yesterday, it was like they knocked their chairs off, which was wicked. I really enjoyed it, seeing like, we remind you of your value, doesn't it? But yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from.
It's a brilliant, how did you, because one of my questions on here is what inspires you? So like, that's a good example to use. Like, how do you get to those things? Like when you've got a new project that you're starting or a new strategy you've got to work on, new campaign, where do you look for inspiration? Like, do you have a process you go through, or is it different every time?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have a rigid process. If I was to try to kind of generalize it, it would be, so one of our values was surface level isn't our level. Like we want to go deep.
Don't look at me like that.
I knew he'd like that.
He winked as well.
I didn't wink, you bugger. So we were asked to come up with a campaign to prevent antisocial behaviour in teens over the summer and stuff. So it's like, what do we go and do for that? Like where do you start for that? And what I want to do is make sure that we're always giving like real value. Not just coming up with ideas. So you could think of a load of creative ideas to do that, but that doesn't mean they're going to work. No. So I went and searched for the research on actually the causes for those, and I just happened to know somebody who works at the Youth Endowment Fund, so she's very clued up on the research and things like that. So I rang her, like did some subject matter expert work, and then it's like, okay, well that's the problem we're trying to solve. Like antisocial behaviours on the top here, but how do we stop that in a marketing sense? We're not the police, we can't, we're not to charge services, but what actually the thing that we're trying to do? And we worked out on that speaking to the person that's committing that it's relatively pointless. What you've got to try and do is get to the person that can influence them. And also then on the whole creative process, it's like, well, the target audience is pretty tight. Where are they? What are their influences? Well, like a shitload of the people that we're trying to target we're relatively happy that they're probably involved in kind of gaming, Fortnite type worlds. And so we think that in Instagram Reels, YouTube Reels and TikTok Reels are the place to get them. What's the number one thing you have to do on there? Stop someone scrolling. Stop someone scrolling past. Okay, we'll go video game style to have a chance of them seeing the message. And then we'll actually put together scenarios that actually engage them on what like self-reflection and decision-making. So that was the idea of the campaign. And then we ended up with these kind of like, these Fortnite style TikTok Reels, which like presented scenarios and just asked them to self-reflect on what to do, rather than like all the research suggested that like telling people what to do, pointless, not going to do it, that kind of stuff. So I think that was a really creative answer to the brief. Massively. But it had like real strategy and depth, and it was a proper idea behind it. It wasn't just to float something down the Thames because it's cool. So I was quite proud of that one as well.
I remember you showing me that.
Yeah, great idea.
And we asked him earlier what things he's proud of, and he was like, proper airhead moment, didn't he?
We've got you now.
They're all wheeling out now, aren't they?
The thing is with that, you made a point there that I think is really important for people, but like that wasn't just a cool idea.
Yeah.
It was backed with specialist advice. It was backed with thinking around the psychology of the target audience. It was backed with what channels are they on. There was a lot.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, wouldn't it be cool to put this together? And I think as marketers, what we get a lot of nowadays is, can we do this trend? Can we do
Yeah,
this?
totally.
There's a lot of like reactivity to what's trending, and also like, how can we go viral? Like, nobody bloody knows. Like, nobody knows the answer. Stop asking that question. And
I know.
also,
You wink at Una Healy on Let's Get Gold.
that'll get you viral in a unitard.
Mate, I'm so making that gif. So, you will get that.
You are in the
WhatsApp by
wrong
the end of the
room
day.
to have declared that story, Steve.
I'm cool with it. Ridicule me.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of people, I think, as marketers and creatives, we all have, in the sense that there's a responsibility to not let people get too drawn into that. And Mum uses a really good example. She always says, like, when it comes to trending content, always benchmark it back to the brand, and always benchmark it back to the target audience for that brand. And if it doesn't benchmark well, don't do it. Like, don't do it just because it's a trend.
Yeah.
And have you had much of that in more the marketing agency side of it, where you've had to sort of give people advice around virality and sort of steer people back into more thinking deeply about what they're doing and not just doing things because it's quick and it's on trend?
I think you have it with every client, every project, to be honest with you. I talk about our process normally is actually we're reverse engineers. Most people come to you with the solution and you reverse engineer it to whether that's the right solution or not. Like that normally is the first part of the conversation. I don't think there's not many people who are brave enough to come to you and say, we're not very good at marketing, what should we do? They're normally coming to you saying,
get that
like,
a lot,
do you?
don't we?
Well, maybe I need your customers, but like we tend to get on an animation or on a website or something like that, and then we reverse it back to okay, where you at and stuff. So you know, we've got people where Instagram isn't their right platform, and we say wasting your time. There's no point in being on there. And we've got
which I think is how most people are feeling about Instagram at the moment. To be honest. What is going on Instagram?
But you know, I think I'm a big, like, on both the marketing side and the jump think side, I'm a big believer that like you are constantly communicating, even when you're not saying anything. That's a communication form of itself. If you don't turn up to a meeting, that's a communication, like a quite harsh negative
enough,
one. Yeah. So when you don't get invited to chewing the fat, it's a communication of some kind.
You are not important enough, Hannah.
Well, you're too important.
We're talking about you.
Too busy.
So you know, we were so you know, recently a client wanted to get involved in a campaign that on the surface, and I do think like a lot of other agencies, yeah, absolutely. And we're like, no, it takes you out of your raison d'etre and you're starting to become beige. You're just getting involved in everything. No, like absolutely don't do it. Like there's probably like, there's no huge risks necessarily, but it's not like one of the things they need to do is make their brand really clear and be really clear to their target audience, who they are and what they do. And just getting involved in these things willingly isn't right. And it's actually going to start to water that down. So sometimes your advice of not doing something is never seen like on the surface, but it's so valuable. And that's creative in itself.
I'm glad we're not the only ones that do that. The amount of times we're like, that's no.
Yeah.
We don't
Shake
think
of
you
the head
should
and
do
a
that.
little grumble.
And you talked earlier about client knowledge.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I say to clients, and I try and say this in, again, like a respectful way and stuff. I've got a little graph that I say, this is client knowledge over time. This is perceived client knowledge over time of working with you.
Yeah.
And the difference between their perceived knowledge and actual, because they see a snapshot of your kind of on the surface decisions, but don't understand necessarily the mechanisms behind them. And that's not me being disrespectful. Like I struggle when the electrician comes to my house and asks me a question. I was like, well, you're the electrician. I don't know the answer. Like, you know, I trust you. And I think, like, again, relationships, if you can build that level of trust with people to trust you to make the marketing decisions, you equally trust them to then say, like, challenge me from your different perspective on this, then that's a really healthy place to be.
But not everyone does that. Some people out there will just go, yeah, if that's what you want, I'll do it.
We're similar to you, though. When you said at the beginning of the conversation around you didn't want Jump to be mediocre, I think is the word you used.
Yeah.
We're the same. Like, we don't want to be mediocre. We want to be one of the best, if not the best, marketing agency locally and then further afield. So we want to be able to say, we want to be known for saying no if it's not right. And also, if you're trying to become a business and a brand that's aspirational to people, if you just say yes to everything, you're never going to achieve that, because what we don't want to, you know, a phrase of the industry, we don't want to be polishing turds for the rest of our lives. Like anyone who's in marketing or design,
we've all done it.
Like we all were like, oh yeah, you know, and that it's not said with disrespect, but it's just when you're a creative and when you're constantly someone who's trying to push things forward, sometimes you just need to do what the client needs you to do there and then to be able to get to the next step and help them. But it's a balancing act, isn't it? And I think learning to say no is really important, not just as a business owner, but also like if you're a graphic designer freelancing or a copywriter or a videographer and a client says, we want this, and you know it's not going to be right for what they're doing, it's so important that you can build the confidence to say that, because if they go and do it, you know they're going to waste their time, you know they're going to waste their money, like you're trying to help them.
I think these become self-fulfilling prophecies. Sorry, Paul, that like you start to attract your tribe, like as in I don't have a, you know, when you look back, and I think that, you know, sometimes you think, you know, you're going to fall out with a client, you're going to lose a client, like it's good, you don't want to be beige, you don't want to be known for being that. Actually, you know, your story and your narrative of when people leave you actually can be quite good, because you are showing that you're not for being told just what to do. You're not like, we've all been there. I've had clients before where I genuinely wouldn't have put it past them to say, we've got some budget left, can you come in and paint the walls? Do you know what I mean? Like they genuinely thought that we were just kind of like hired help. But if you carry on doing that, your work is crap, you've got nothing to show, and you get that reputation, that's who you attract. And it's not about being hard to work with, it's about actually being responsible as a marketer. If an electrician did what I asked them to do, they're going to be a crap electrician, because I know fuck all about electrics. So
and there'd be a fire in your house. Be bad times, wouldn't it?
And you know what? Ultimately, your staff will become unhappy as well, because they'll be doing work that they don't believe in, or that they don't think's good enough, and just getting barked at, told what to do is not the one, is it?
It's not good for any parties.
It's one of those things where, like, for better for worse, we're sometimes in an industry where everyone thinks that they can do a bit of it. And that can become quite destructive, because by giving them too much to do that, you're not helping them.
No.
And that's why, like, you know, we've all had tough conversations with clients before, or people you work with, or members of staff and stuff like that. And I think it's always about coming back down to, I am saying this to try to help you. My motives are really, really pure. Like, I see us as I'm sure we all have our lines, but the one that I kind of try out to people is, we are a support organisation. We are solely here to support you.
Yeah.
And by giving you advice and challenging you, that's part of that support.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's always going to be what you want to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
And to move things forward, you have to, it's like anything, isn't it? Like, a lot of what we all do here involves pushing people out their comfort zone, which is painful and uncomfortable and difficult. But I've spent the last 4 years out of mine, so I don't think I'm ever going back into the comfort zone at this rate. So I've just got to get used to it. But yeah, it's a constant balancing act, isn't it? And I think we're all doing a pretty good job, I would say.
Doing all right.
I just feel like I'm winging it half the time.
Well, I think everybody's winging it. We're all winging it to some extent. I'm going to go into quick fire.
Yes.
Oh, we're at that stage.
I think we're at that stage.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
I'm more ready than I was last time.
Yeah. Quick fire round 2.
It wasn't very quick fire last time, was it?
It wasn't. Which creatives, past or present, would you have round for dinner?
I'm skewed in my answer by Never Meet Your Heroes. I'm just always worried that actually it would probably be like a bit
Just
shitter
have
than I
us.
thought.
Just have
No,
us
I
round
genuinely
for
thought, like, I love hanging out with you. I'd have you two there. I loved hanging out with Matt Jones and Mark Blaylock, I do some work with in London. I love hanging out with Adrienne, for obvious reasons, who works for me at Jump and also is my other half.
I would have Adrienne.
Yeah, so I'd just have you guys round, like, because I know
that.
it'd be a fun night. Like, it'd be a good crack. And yeah, I mean, I've got loads of creatives that I respect from past and present and stuff. But no, sometimes just leave them where they are. So
Nice.
let's all go out.
Do you want to ask the next one, Paul?
Where we at? Can I read you
We
right?
prepared this earlier.
Oh.
I love this one. It's so good.
Oh, is this one that I'm not prepared for then?
No, this is one that you are prepared.
Okay. If your work was edible,
I forgot about this.
what would it taste like?
Depend on the client.
I think that is what you said, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What
It's
did
not-
you
it's not
say
my work,
yours
it's for-
was?
What if my work tastes like? Probably like, I don't know,
Salted caramel.
salted caramel, but it'd probably be like
Salty but
lumps
sweet.
of salt in
It'd be
it.
bits of
just
chili
a
in
little
there.
bit, like,
Big
a little bit
chunks that
rough.
take your teeth out
Crunches a little bit.
that you're not expecting, and you're like, oh fuck, they haven't ground this down very well.
That's a bit salty, but then you get that sweet caramel.
Oh, fucking hell. Whipped cream.
Anyway.
Like Will Ferrell then.
And then my last one.
Hang on. What about you?
I think we've settled on that mine is like a Thai curry, wasn't it? Like
Thai curry.
fragrant, bit spicy. You know you've eaten it.
A Thai curry for someone that doesn't like spice.
And you're probably dabbing later at the end of the night.
I don't think that was where I was going. I was just
If you're
gonna
getting
say
Hannah's work, keep the loo roll in the fridge.
for various different reasons.
Yeah.
No, on a serious note, I don't think my work does taste like a Thai curry. I think my work would be like, hear me out, right? But like, you guys are going to crack up laughing. Like, I'm going to say like bread and butter.
What?
Hear me out.
Pudding or
Like
actual
comfort,
bread and
comfort.
butter?
Start. What type of bread?
Well, like a crusty, like sourdough or a
I was
French,
gonna
like a
say,
French
yeah.
stick and salted butter. Like it's pure comfort.
French stick's overrated.
I mean, I'm giving my food tastes out here, but like bread and butter is just or like white bread with salted butter on as toast. Anyway,
Bread
this is
and
not
butter
what we're here
pudding,
to
I was
talk about.
thinking. It's way better.
I think my work would taste like some sort of comfort food because I do think genuinely, and this is a bit, gives me the ick to say it a bit, I find it hard to say, but I can put people at ease quite quickly and I'm good at building like the rapport with people. That's a big part of what I do here. And I think my style is make people comfortable, put people at ease, don't overwhelm them, that sort of thing. So probably a comfort food of
Bit
some
more
sort.
than a white bread, isn't it, though?
Yeah,
like the
maybe
worst
maybe
bread
not
ever.
white bread. Anyway, the last one, Steve, is if you could choose a theme song for your life.
Yeah, for my life.
Yeah.
That changed on a daily basis.
What
depending on
would
how I'm
it be?
feeling.
I mean, there's a few obvious ones, aren't there?
I'd go Van Halen jump. I'd go full
Oh,
cliche.
Chris
It's got some.
Cross will make you jump, jump.
Yeah.
It's got some nice lyrics in there as well.
Van Halen
Like
jump.
nothing brings me down.
Absolutely.
Might as
Roll
well
with the
just-
punches.
Is that? Yeah.
Um,
Might as well just jump. Dun, dun, dun. That one. I mean, I've absolutely murdered it, but no.
nah.
Van Halen.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well. Yeah. That's the one. Yeah.
That's
I wasn't
George,
sure what
everyone.
happened.
It's George,
That's
everyone.
George.
Yeah.
Behind
George
the
with
camera.
the lyrics.
Exec producer.
Got to have a
Yeah.
good guitar solo in there, haven't you?
I do. Yes, I do feel that I've rolled with the punches, but I do. Nothing quite brings me down. Like my talent definitely when I was in sport was getting it one more time than I fell.
That's sort of your job, right?
And you worked at the Chronicle and Echo. So
Yeah, I hadn't touched on that. Yeah, so yeah, that'd be quite a nice one. And yeah, I mean, it's just pure cliche, and it's like if I have an autobiography, it'd be called Up and Down, wouldn't it? Like
Yeah.
done. Yeah.
Up and down.
Added another question in there. My own
Love
question.
it. I love
Oh,
that.
if you were to ask me this question,
I would answer this.
that's a hard question though. Like, what would be the soundtrack or the song?
It is difficult.
I'm so mood.
You wouldn't be
based,
able to
it would
answer
change
it.
it.
No, I
day.
wouldn't. I've got like a whole. I'd find that really difficult to answer. Hence why I'm asking the questions, not answering them. Haha. No, thank you, Steve.
You're
We
very
love you
welcome.
very much.
Love you
You're a
very
very
much
dear
too.
friend of the business.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on.
Likewise.
I look forward to
Much
Edinburgh
love.
Me too. Cheers.
that you've just found out about.